All right, so I'm going to explain my independent reading project for anybody who is making one. So you have your direction sheet. The book that I did is called Chains by Laurie Halse. She's a very famous young adult author. And I'm just going to explain my project and explain the book through the project. So I've got my bag here.
You should have a YouTube channel.
I decorated the front and the back. For the specifications for the project, you really only need to do one side, but it's kind of nice to do both sides. This is the front. It has the title of the book, which is Chains, and then the author, Laurie Halse. I actually traced that, so if you need to trace something, feel free. And then on the back, I drew a picture, which is a scene from the book, which is basically the character who is escaping from the place where she is enslaved. So just to give you a little bit of information about the book. It's historical fiction. It's set during the Revolutionary War time period, and I wanted to read it because it has a lot of awards, and I know she's a good author, and I'm very interested in this. It's actually a trilogy. And basically the main character, her whole life she's been living with, working for free because she's a slave, working for this woman who is supposed to set her sister and the main character free when she died, but it turns out that doesn't happen, and she gets sold to relatives in New York City. And so she is living during the Revolutionary War time period in New York, and her name is Isabel. She's 13. So the first item I have in here is I have a kitchen sponge. Her job is to clean the house of this family. Very hard, grueling work, no education opportunities, so it's a hard life for her. But she actually meets another young African-American, young teenager, this kid, and he is basically working as a freedom fighter for the Americans. He wants the Americans to win. And this potato actually symbolizes sort of her relationship with him. He gets imprisoned, it's really harsh conditions, and she smuggles like old vegetable peelings and stuff into the prison to help him and the other freedom fighters. They're basically trying to get the Americans to win against the British because they hope that they will in turn gain their freedom. All right, another item I have is a flashlight. Of course, she wouldn't have a flashlight, but there's a lot of scenes in this which you can kind of see from the one I wrote, where she's kind of sneaking around and escaping. Not to give too much away, but she becomes involved with the freedom struggle for herself and for the country. So that's that. Another item I have is this little doll. She is the caretaker of her young sister. And her younger sister, she doesn't speak. She has some sort of disability. She has epilepsy also. And she's not treated very well by the people who own her. And she's actually separated from her sister. And her sister is sent to a farm, basically, a plantation. And all that she has left is a little doll to remind her of her beloved sister. So it's a really powerful scene in the book when she only has the doll left. And in book 2, she might try to actually find her sister. But anyway, that's why I put the doll. And the last thing I have in my literature bag is this stamp, which has the Liberty Bell on it, which symbolizes the time period. Basically, Revolutionary War, totally in the middle of when the Americans are fighting with the British, just as our main character here, Isabel, in Chains, is trying to fight for her own freedom. So I hope you have fun with your project. Hope this was helpful to you. Happy reading.